I work for a firm of accountants, or largely accountants, but not all accountants. We've got all weirdos there now. Even Ross Hill used to work for us. So we started saying, you know what? Rather than putting all this time and overhead on stuff, there's got to be a better way. And we had a look at Y Combinator. People know Y Combinator. A lot of you would. A lot of you are sort of geek children and stuff like that. So Y Combinator, a VC model. And what they said was, rather than doing that same sort of thing to startups where we say we're going to do due diligence and have our lawyers crawl through you and look up every orifice and all that stuff, we're going to get you together, we'll pick 10 of you or so and say, here's some oxygen in the form of 18 grand. Run, show us what you can do. Just have a crack. And if you succeed, cool, we give you more. If you fail, that's cool, because we only spent 18 grand. And then another one, and most accounting firms look to lemonade companies when they're looking for business processes, was the Pepsi Refresh Challenge, where we looked at that and said, you know, these guys just say, throw in your ideas, and we're going to give out a number of grants, whether they be 5 grand, 25 grand each month or whatever. Give some oxygen. Give the person who's passionate and willing to do that night job, take off the straitjacket, throw them a bit of a bone, and see what they can do. And that is how you start to sort of avoid these innovation killers. Because the problem is people trying to avoid failure often go and do the big project. And we see most big projects turn into big stuff-ups. Whereas if you think about it, it's the best stuff comes from the small moves smartly made, through those iterations, for those little goes. So we sort of incorporated that sort of model. So an idea would come in and we'd say, you know what, we like that idea. Yeah, here's 10 grand. You got 3 months, come back to us with what you can do. But the other thing that made it work, of course, was Angry Birds. So I'm in the process of developing a game like Angry Birds called Angry Business Cases. We've got different types of resources that you fire at a business problem. But I'm a bit of an Angry Birds freak, and anybody who knows me knows I'm always on about Angry Birds. But what sort of really got me about Angry Birds was a couple of things. One, the notion of iterative gameplay. Aim, fire, adjust. I see a problem, I've got a limited amount of resources. I don't ring up and say, can I get some more of those birds? Although you can buy that giant eagle, but I won't tell people about it because that's cheap. So I look at it and I say, I've got a problem to solve, how can I do it? And I do it fast. Every time I make a shot, I've got a trajectory line. I can look at it and say, I aimed, I fired, reflect, go again. Rapid iteration. And then when I get there, I might not succeed in solving the problem. Okay, let me try again. Fast, cheap, with the resources I've got, not worrying about what I don't have. Then I start to, maybe I get 1 star, I get feedback, so I'm like, okay, sort of worked, but I know there's a better way. And that is how we actually innovate at Deloitte. So Pepsi, Y Combinator, Angry Birds gives you an innovation program. So what is that? That is a prototype of a thing called the EMU card. So it's a prototype of a credit card. It's 17 centimetres long, doesn't quite fit in your pocket. What we decided, well, we got this idea from a guy called Jason Bender in Adelaide, industrial design guy, web guy, who works for Deloitte. And he said, you know what really pisses me off? When a bank rings me up and says, hey, I'm the bank, now you prove to me who you are. He said, I'd like to actually say to them, I know who I am, you prove to me who you are. So he came up with this model of, what about, rather than username and passwords, why don't I take a one-time password model like they used in the World War I, you know, or two, tear off a pad, the one-time passcodes, make it mutual, changes every time, you prove to me who you are, I prove to you who I am. First prototype was, can we make it work? Next prototype was that little black thing. That black thing was a credit card, looks like a credit card, numbers on it, it's got a chip that doesn't work, and that tick would turn that screen to an 8-digit random generated number. Why? Hey, we're thinking of this idea, a credit card with a keypad, and you put the number in, and you push it, and you get a one-time password. Bring the idea to life. What's the fastest, cheapest way I can bring the idea to life? You know, go from, I can do this technically, I'm going to bring it to life, and I'm going to test it, aim, fire, adjust. Hey, do you think this is a good idea? We did that in Australia, and all the Australian banks were like, oh, that's a fantastic idea. Where does it come from? Australia. Oh, shit, we won't buy it then. So we went to Europe, and Visa Europe's an investor in it. The other thing was, how do you miniaturize that into that? big challenge, but we worked through it. We iterated, and now it's this. It's in banks in Europe. Visa Europe have invested in it. It's on mobiles, every form of mobile you like, even probably Nokias are in there somewhere, Blackberries, and for you Windows types, I think we even did that for both of you. So, again, started with an idea, prototype, bring the idea to life. If somebody said that was the dumbest idea we've ever seen in our life, we could have stopped. But it kept getting momentum. We iterated. That is the first business plan of Deloitte Digital. Looks like a Donkey Kong diagram. So that business plan came from a discussion we had about how do we make money while we sleep. Deloitte normally make money while we work, how do we make money while we sleep? So I sort of drew this thing up and said, you know, we've got this innovation program that drives us ideas that sometimes comes out with things like Emu, other times it's just service stuff, but there's a whole heap of online stuff. Why don't we create a platform with technology and a call centre and billing and distribution, and shit, we'll throw a plane in there because we've got this idea about delivering business education in aeroplanes, which we now do. And we can go out through the world, we can have alliances and partners who we do with people like Roger and Amantha, and turn this thing into reality. So, you know, people can't understand this. You know, what does it mean? Think of Amazon.com. You buy stuff online, not go to an accountant and say, here, come and do my tax return. Ah, cool, we get that. So, there it is today. And this morning, I got an email saying, hey, we got our first client in Botswana. And now, Botswana may not be the world's greatest target market, but when you know that the stuff that you did, that the dream you had, that you did on a whiteboard and somebody came and draws a Donkey Kong diagram, and suddenly through iteration, through testing, through aim, fire, adjust, through getting out of your own way, from having leaderships who committed and took people off the table, or they actually took people off the table and said, you now have to commit to making this work, not commit to making it stop. We've now got a business that's sort of rocking it globally. So hopefully some of the key messages you get out of this. Commitment, right? Not support, not unaware, not undecided, commit. At an individual level, at a team level, at an organisational level. Use what you have. If you're going to be an innovator, you don't sit there saying, I can't do it because I don't have time, I don't have money, I can't get this resource. Find it. Use your networks. Get out there. Make connections. Use days like this. You know, I couldn't get any people, but I had to, ended up doing a thing with RMIT to get their entrepreneurships to do it, students to do it. Small moves, smartly made. Don't bet the farm. Don't try and guess your way there. Do your way there. Prototype, iterate, learn by doing, and that's how you can avoid innovation killers.